Hi guys, it is blue math time and I'm at home, so I only have this wee little board, so things are a little small, but it's a video, so hopefully we can zoom and things like that. So today is introduction to 7-8. It's about circle graphs. Kind of easy and I think too kind of fun. So here we have our definition of a circle graph, that it is a graph of data. I left off my E and where. Sorry, where the circle represents one whole, or we could say that that's a meaning 100%. And so when a circle graph is made, and you see I have several on the board here, it all is going to equal one whole. Oftentimes I like to talk about circle graphs in terms of pizza or pie, things like that, and how many pieces of pie you can have. If you have a family of 6, how big of a piece does everyone get? Those are the kind of things. And if you've ever seen moms or dads, grandmas or grandpas cut a birthday cake, how they kind of look about how many pieces they have to get, and then they can adjust. I know when kids have brought in like cookie cakes for their birthdays, I have to look at a cookie cake and think, okay, there's 18 kids, I need to make 18 even cuts. So circle graphs is another one of those skills that is a life skill, a real life skill. You'll have a lot of circle graphs to read through as you continue your education in high school and college maybe. And so what you need to do is be a good estimator, okay? And when you sketch a circle graph, you need to think of it, oh my gosh, I kept leaving off letters today. That's supposed to be think. Sorry. I'm dropping the ball here. You need to think of it in 4 parts or quarters. And here I drew some down below. So when you draw a circle, no, the circle doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Mine are not perfect, but they at least look like circles. And when you look at it in 4 parts, think of it, and you can either think of quarters or pieces of money or things like that. So an easy one to do, obviously, is a circle graph where you have a line down the middle that looks like a beach ball. And so then you would have 50 and 50, because as you have the definition here, it has to equal one whole, or to 100%. My next one that I show is how I can do lines of 75% versus 25%. And so when I think of my circle and I take a quarter of that, I just draw out a quarter. Sometimes what I do is make a dot in the center, or what I feel is a good estimate of where the center is, and then that helps me do my lines. Now, obviously, if you have a ruler or a straight edge, you can really make a really good circle graph by having really good straight lines. I'm going to get a little bit more complicated. My next one is dividing it into 3 parts. So I have a 50%, a 25%, and a 25%. And so as you go on here, I drew my long line first, 50, and then I divided that where I thought halfway might be. And then my last one got a little complicated in that I broke up a quarter into smaller pieces. So there's obviously my 50, so I started halfway through, and your line can go up and down, your line can go side to side. It needs to just show half of the circle. And so then I did my quarter, I did my 25%, so I did my 50, then I drew out my 25, and then I examined the area that was left in my 25. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna take off my little 5 first. So I thought I'll just take a little tiny piece, and that'll be the 5, and I'll break it down into 10 and 10 then. And so then I took my area left and I just divided it what I thought was a good halfway mark. I think I did a good job. And so I have 50, 25, 10, 10, and 5, which is going to equal one whole, or 100%. Okay, so that's how you would sketch one out. When I thought of my 25, I divided it 10, 10, and 5. If I were to do 12 and a half and 12 and a half, because that makes 25, I would need to show the half part. I just can't say 12 and 12, because that's 24, and that's not going to get to your 100. So you need to be mindful. If there needs to be a decimal, then you have a decimal. It's okay. The one in your book here, we're on page 341, 7-8. It's about how apples are used. all of the apples that are, I forget what it said, hold on. It's in a certain state, I think. Oops, sorry, you got to see my chair. Nope, they don't give you a place. They just tell you about how apples are used. So they're saying that 48% of our apples are just sold back into grocery stores as fresh apples. Then they're saying the next largest percentage is then 39, and they say that that's processed. So that would be making apples into juice or apples into applesauce or just processing the apples for flavoring of other things. Like you might have apples in tea, or you might have apples in fruit snacks or things like that. So they take the apple flavoring or juice. And then 13% they're exported, meaning that they're given to other countries or other states. They don't really give us details here. And so that's how they broke it up in the apple there. And so they want you to know how to read a circle graph. Circle graphs, like all graphs, when we had those in chapter 2, they need to be labeled. The easiest thing to do is put your number in the graph. So when you're doing homework and things like that, make your circle large enough so that your number can fit in. Okay? And it's either a number that stands for something or it's a percent. And then somewhere along the way you need to have the labeling part, like 48% is fresh apples, 39% is processed apples, 13% is exported. And you can easily see my words. I didn't draw any arrows, but I can easily see which is which for me. Now on your next page, on 342, there is a quick check that I'm going to walk you through about how I did mine. And this is how you're going to work today in math. So they're giving you some data here, and so you need to turn it into, you're going to get a fraction so that you can turn it into a percent so that you can make a graph. Okay, so fraction, percent, graph. If they already give you the percent, then just go ahead and make the graph. But they give it to you as data that you need to turn into a fraction to find the percent to then make a graph. It adds another step, which is okay because we know how to do this. So what they're saying here is that, this is quick check 3, 50 kids were being surveyed about what they did for lunch. Okay, 50 kids. 13 of those kids bought a hot lunch. 9 of those kids packed their lunch. 6 of them bought a salad, and 22 of them bought a sandwich. And so if you check their math, 13, 9, 6, and 22 does make 50, so that's all good. The book did a good job. Yay! But now I'm left with fractions. If 13 out of 50 bought, then I need to turn that into a percent. And I know mine's really teeny tiny because I'm on this whiteboard here. But what you do is form that proportion that we've been learning about. So 13 over 50, and I need to turn that into a percent, so I do x over 100. And so I see the relationship of 50 to 100 being a times 2. So I can simply take all of these numbers of kids and multiply them by 2, and it will give me the percent. So follow along. 13 times 2 is 26. So it's 26% of kids who ordered a hot lunch. 9 out of 50, 9 times 2 is 18. 18% kids pack their lunch. 6 out of 50 got a salad. 6 times 2 is 12, so 12% got a salad. 22 over 50 got a sandwich, and so 22 times 2 is 44, and so 44 kids got a sandwich. And as you add, and this is always a good thing to do, it's an extra step, and I know you guys are lazy, you can add your percentages and see if you're right. 26 plus 18 plus 12 plus 44 should equal 100%, because that's the definition. And that'll check you to see if your math is right before you go on to the next step in graph. So then here you go into my beautiful circle graph here. And I only have my white, my blue marker here. So 44% got a sandwich, and I did the number, and I had to have the label. The number and the label. For these guys, I was just showing you how to make it, okay? But this one is a legit. 26% hot lunch. So what I was doing, I'm losing my stuff here.
what I was doing is I went all the way across, maybe you see my lines here, to give me my 50, and then I took a little, there's my dot in the circle, then I did a little line that way, and I thought, okay, if this is half and I need to get 44, I'm going to think that the line might be here. Then I erased that halfway through line, and then I started with, oh look, 20, I'm going to do it this way. I said, oh look, 26% is really close to 25. So I took the line and I went all the way down, but then I extended it a little bit out because it's not 25, it's 26, okay? And then from the rest of the area there, I had to decide, well, 18 is larger than 12, so I had to have the 18 part be a little bit larger, and I could do that. Now, what you need to either do is label or color code. I didn't color code because I'm using dry erase, but I could have colored in all of these spots. I could have colored them pink, blue, orange, green, and I could have colored my circle graph. But I just labeled, and you always put your numbers in there. And then if you have a coloring part, you have to then give a key to tell me what the colors mean. If blue means they bought a sandwich, then I need to shade in my 44% area blue. Okay, now you are at home, and so you have art supplies and stuff like that, so it should be easier for you. On my second board here, you're practicing today. Obviously, I can't see you type in a circle graph, so I need you to just do these today. It's 4, 5, and hold on. There's a 7. You're going to try on page 343 because I wasn't going to color you the graph. I want you to try 4, 5, 6, and 7. There are word answers about reading a graph. So I want you to post those in your Google question, and then I want you for homework today to do your practice 7-8 circle graphs. And again, you'll have to send me a picture of it so I know that you completed it. Or you can type in your answers, but I don't think you're going to do that today with graphs. So you're going to need to send me a picture. So here is your lesson on 7-8 circle graphs. And of course, put me on pause so that you can make your note card for your note card rings. And you can put me on pause and write everything down on your card. I gave you some examples, and I showed you how you can learn how to sketch things so that they're the right amount, okay? So don't forget to do that, and then you have your you try. All right, guys, see you tomorrow.